Yep, sure.
Hi Sonia, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Rakesh. How are you?
I'm good too. Um,
Okay.
so
Actually, I have joined from my Wi-Fi and my laptop only.
okay, no worries. So can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure, Rakesh. So my name is Sonia, and in IT, I have total experience of 5.8 years. So from my starting point onwards, only I am into testing. So I am into both manual and automation testing. So if I talk about my current company, so my roles and responsibilities include both manual and automation. In perspective with the manual testing, we are working on smoke, sanity, integration, regression, these kind of testing. And if I talk about the automation part, then we are testing the web application. And for testing these web applications, we are using two of the tools. One is Test Studio, which is a licensed tool, and another one is Selenium with the help of Java. So in Test Studio, my coverage of test cases are approximately 70%, and in the Selenium tool, my test coverage is around 30%. And other than that, as a part of my daily activity, we are also scheduling the test list via Jenkins, so that we can catch the errors on an early basis for a particular build. And as in version tool, we are using SVN version tool. And in these days, we are also working on accessibility testing. And for accessibility testing, we are is ND tool, and the third one is this. Sorry, JAWS. Sorry, I like forget the name. So it is
No worries.
Andy, ArcTool, and JAWS. So yes, my work revolves around these kind of roles and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sonia, you were telling something about Jenkins.
Yeah.
So you have integrated your automation framework with Jenkins.
Yes. Yes.
So whenever your test scripts are failing,
So basically,
mhm.
sorry, I cut you. Please,
No worries,
please
you can go
continue.
ahead. You can go ahead. Yeah. So I wanted to understand
Yeah, yeah.
how integration is done. Yeah.
Okay. So Rakesh, I was saying that actually the integration that we did with Jenkins is from our Test Studio
Mm-hmm.
tool only. So there we have created the smoke test list. And through that Jenkins agent, we have connected that particular that particular project in our Jenkins job.
Yeah. So please continue.
Yep. So yes. So shall I continue from my the point where I left, or shall I
Yes.
start from
Please,
the starting
please
point?
continue. No, please continue.
Oh, okay, fine. So yeah, so Rakesh, I was saying that we have created our Jenkins job for executing the smoke list on a daily basis, so that we can just catch the issues on an early basis for a particular build. So we have created our test list on this Test Studio tool, and we have created our this Jenkins agent through which we can just connect with our project on our VMware. And through that job, we are also sending this HTML report to all the recipients, so that we can get to know that what kind of issues we are facing on a particular build. And actually we have different 25 test cases within that smoke list. And like for example, if one of the test cases is failing, so for that particular test case, that particular owner is handling the issues. So basically, I am responsible to check if the Jenkins job is working fine or not, and then reporting the same to all my QA members, and mentioning the issue to that particular module owner.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you have separate module owners and they themselves are responsible for getting those issues fixed with the dev team. Okay. Now, how will you identify if
Correct.
it's an Yeah, if it's an application issue or it's an automation issue or it's really a bug or maybe it's an environment issue. So how will you identify that?
Okay. Uh, so for that particular thing, okay. So for that particular thing, Rakesh, first of all, for example, a script is breaking in the automation side. So first I'll just try to re-execute the Telect Studio tool, or maybe just to get an idea, like is it because of the automation part, or is it really a issue? So for example, if it is not the automation side issue, and if it is really an issue, then I can just check it manually once on my application. So on that on application also, if it is replicating, then I can just do more analysis for that particular issue. And if that issue is really a bug, then I can just connect with my team, can discuss once, and then can raise the Jira ticket for that bug, and can hand over that bug to developer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you might be observing some logs from the help of which you will come to know what kind of issue is this, right? If you are seeing some
Correct,
logs,
correct. So
yeah,
in
in
my
yes, yes, please go ahead.
yeah, I was saying the same thing, that in our automation tools, yes, we do have our log files also. So from the log file also, I can just review once, like is it really an issue, or is something happened because of the automation for that particular test case. So yes, first I'll just check in all the automation perspective for that particular test case, then only I'll just jump to the manual side.
Okay. Can you explain the rest assured framework?
Okay, so basically, Rakesh, in my current company, I am working on GraphQL API testing with the help of this Telect Studio tool only. But yes, in my previous company, I got a chance to work like very little on the rest assured side. So on the framework side, in my previous company, actually in my framework, we have four of the packages. One is for user endpoint, one is for payloads, and one is for API test, and one was some utilities package. So on the user endpoint side, and there was also one more package, which is a like base package. So in base package, I can just mention the root class and as well as the user endpoint classes. So in the root classes, I can just declare the like the URL for my API endpoint, as well as if I'm passing any kind of authorization key, so I can just also pass the same thing in the root in that root class. And in the user endpoints, I can just create multiple methods, to for example, if I'm fetching something from my application with the help of UPI, so not UPI, API. So I
Hmm.
can just create one method there, and through I can just declare one variable response, and through this rest assured dot get method, I can just track and by passing all the params, I can just get the data from my application. So create methods for post, so that I can just add data to my application. And then the next package would be my payloads. So in the payload package, I have different classes in which I can just mention the variables of what kind of response I'm getting. For example, in the response side, I
Hmm.
have like 25 variables, but I want to mention all of the variables from that particular 25. So in that payload class, I can just declare those five variables, so that maybe I'm just manipulating around those variables only. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have this API test classes. In API test classes, with the help of this TestNG framework, I can just create the methods with add test annotations, and then with the help of user endpoint methods, I can just like pass any kind of value and maybe verify. For example, I need to verify a response if in the user list, if Sonia is there present or not. So I
Mm-hmm.
can verify these kind of things, and I can also include assert assertions, so that I can just verify if the expected and actual results are same or not.
Right, right.
And also in the framework I can include this logging part.
Mm-hmm. So for login, you will have to use the token mechanism, authorization mechanisms, right? In rest assured. So have you used those things?
So I haven't used this token mechanism. Only the this token thing I have passed as a parameter only in my request, but not for logging. For logging, as I remember that we have used this interface called I test this result. Through that, I can just catch the response, and then I can check if I can just retrieve the info of the response. So yeah, these kind of things I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me share my screen. There is a scenario-based question.
Sure.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, it's there for me.
Okay. Now there are two testers in your team. Okay. You are working as
Okay.
a lead over there, and you have two testers who are reporting to you. One is on sick leave, right? Now the full responsibility is on the another tester. You have to your team has to finish the testing today, right? So consider
Okay.
it's a
Okay.
release day. At the end of the day, there will be a release. You have already made commitment to the customer. Now consider it's the afternoon time, right? Still there are 200 plus test
Okay.
cases remaining. So what will be your approach? So basically you are a lead, right? So you need to ensure that you get good test case coverage. Everything should be covered. It should not happen that you sign off and they come to know that there is some bug left out. What will you do?
Okay. Okay. So first of all, Rakesh, I'll if this situation happens, so I'll just try to think about the priority of my test cases. So I can just first try to help my members with the priority of the test cases. They need to find out the most priority test cases first, so that we won't be missing any kind of like the main issues, the main region where I can just get these priority issues. So first we can just cover those, and in the priority, for example, first I can just pick the P0, then I can just pick P1, and in the same manner P2 and P3. So yes, this could be one approach. Other than that, I can also concentrate on the boundary scenarios
Hmm.
where there is a chance to have issues more as compared to like other test cases. So yes, second approach could be this. And a third approach could be also that in my team there could be multiple resources. I can also manage that other, if other resources are having bandwidth to work on this particular task. So yes, I can just try
Absolutely.
that thing also.
Yeah, so all are valid scenarios, valid answers. Okay, now let's take this scenario.
Okay.
If you have got a functionality or you have got a test scenario to upload and download any document, how will you proceed with the scripting for it? So you have to automate this particular functionality, upload and downloading the document.
Okay, so I need to create the test cases for uploading and downloading any document on my application, correct?
You need to automate it.
So do I need to like explain the framework, like
So
how will I automate
yeah,
these kind of
yeah,
scenarios?
right. So you have to explain what
Okay,
kind of
okay,
automation approach you will take. From manual side, we'll take questions later on. Let's stick to the
okay,
automation.
fine.
Hmm.
Okay. So in automation perspective, Rakesh, first I would find like which tool is suitable for automation testing in my project. For example, I can just take an example of Selenium because it's a good tool to to do the automation testing.
Mhm.
So first of all, for automation testing, for creating the framework, I can have packages like one so in this Selenium framework, we can just include this TestNG also, as well as
Mm,
I can make it a Maven project by including my dependency in the pom.xml, so that I do not need to add the libraries one by one. I can just mention it in the pom.xml, and
mm,
automatically all the libraries could be downloaded in my project.
mm,
So yeah, this would be the first thing. Then I'll just start with creating the framework. So in creation of my framework, I could have packages, like one package could be for classes. So for each page of the functionality, I could have one class. For example, I have an application and there is a page of login. So for login page, I can have in that particular package, I can have one class totally for login page. And other than that, there could be one more pages which from where I can handling the elements of a particular page. So in that package, for example, for the login page only, I can just mention all the elements that are available on that page, and I could be having the requirement to do the manipulation around those elements. Other than that, there could be one base class. So there could be one package under which I'll be mentioning the base class,
mm,
where I will be declaring my driver, and on which browser I'll be executing my test cases. So there I'll just try to mention multiple browsers like Chrome, Firefox.
mm,
I
mm,
can just use the add parameters annotation, so that I can just declare the this declare the argument for different browsers. Like for Chrome, I can just mention an if else condition. So
mm,
yeah, and other than that, I can have like one more packages for this logging in everything. If I am using the extend report logging, then I can have just one more package for that. Other than that, in my current project, actually,
mm,
I
mm,
as of now I am working on this inbuilt test ng reporting only. So through Jenkins, we have created one Jenkins job,
mm.
and we are just sharing the report within our teammates.
Okay, okay, fine.
The already that test ng report
Mm,
is having.
mm. So, so adding to the answer that you have given, so you have given a valid answer, but adding to that, you have to test uploading
Yes.
and downloading any document. So you will be using multiple file formats as the test data, the imaged kind of files, zip kind of files, then GIF is there, then BMP, PNG, JPG, XLS, XLSX, then docx. So all these kind of files you will be putting in some reference folder, and which you will be looping it, or maybe you can use data-driven framework also here, as you have got test data.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
yes, I have missed this part,
no
that
worries, no worries.
we
This
can
is a mock
just
interview. Don't worry. Right. So you
correct.
can input one by one file, and then you can also uh, add negative testing. For example, you can add the file with with zero zero content, 0 KB file. You can also add the file with the Chinese characters and see what is happening. You can add the file with UTF-8 based characters and see what's happening. Right. So this kind of test data you will be using. From the automation perspective, you covered everything, right? So how will you
Okay,
will be doing it? That was a valid answer. But what you need to do, what you need to accomplish, that is also important, right? So
sure.
this is good. Okay, you are aware about X-ray tool?
No, no,
X-ray
Rakesh, I
tool.
haven't
Okay.
worked on
Have you
X-ray
heard
tool.
about Zephyr?
No, Rakesh.
Zephyr. Okay, fine. So test cases. Fine, fine. So this is okay. Hmm. In your resume, you have mentioned about TDD framework. So what is TDD
Yes.
framework? Hmm,
So basically, Rakesh, in TDD framework, the full form of it is a test data driven.
hmm,
So which means like we are passing some kind of data, and through which we are testing our test cases.
hmm.
So like this is the meaning of TDD framework.
Right,
So
right.
so that's why in my framework also, like we have one properties.xml file where I am just mentioning all the common things, and the data, the data through which I can just like test my test cases. So yes.
Hmm. What is accessibility testing?
Okay. So basically, Rakesh, accessibility testing is used for someone who is disabled. Like for example, if I'm not able to see, so I can just work on my application through the through the accessibility things that are available on my application. So if I talk about my current project, so we are working on accessibility with the help of three tools. One is JAWS, one is ArcTool, and another one is Andy. So in my web application, we are checking each and every page through these tools. First of all, the approach of accessibility testing is that, first of all, we will be running this ArcTool, and from there we will be catching the errors. For example, there could be an error, duplicate labels, and on the web page, for example, you have multiple delete button, but for multiple users, but for every delete button it is reading like delete, delete, delete. So as a disabled person, you will not be able to know like for which user what delete button is there. So it will be like a very clumsy situation for that person.
Hmm.
And so for that, you can just get an error like duplicate label, and through JAWS also it will just read delete, 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 and on the ND part also it will show that for every user it is delete button only. So we can just add area labels by mentioning some unique thing for every delete button. So here in my example, I can have a unique user ID. So in
Hmm.
the area label part, I can just include the user ID. So for every delete button, as a disabled person, he or she will be get to know that for which user he'll be deleting, he'll be clicking on which particular delete button.
Right, right. Okay. Now there is one more thing in your CV that you have added, that you have made changes in the framework to accommodate different client scripts into one project to reduce testing time, right? So I'm not looking for client based or something project related answer here, but how have you done this thing? So how have you integrated? How have you made changes in the framework? Because every project will be having their own navigation, their own behaviors, functionalities. So how do you bring them into one umbrella, under one umbrella? Yeah.
Yeah, Rakesh. So, Rakesh, in my current project, actually, it's a timesheet management domain project. So, we have our web application and there are multiple clients which are accessing our web application. But for each client, there could be some or few changes in the web application. So, we have our core application, and on the core application we are adding the changes as per our like client demand. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, before accommodating all these clients into one project, what we were doing, every time when we were testing the our test cases through automation projects, so we need to like work on different projects for every client, which will be like very hectic as a tester. Because first of all, I'll be making changes, for example, on one project, on one SVN project, and on the, for example, there are similar kind of changes on the other client also, but there also I need to make the same changes again. So to save these kind of efforts, what we have done, in the same project, we have tried to accommodate all our clients basis. So we have URLs where in the URL, like for each URL you can have the name of the client as well. For example, my client name is DOG, so in the URL only you can see the DOG word. So what we have done, we have added one class where we, from the URL, where we are picking the client name. And for example, my client name is DOG, so I can just run my scripts on the DOG URL only.
Okay.
For
Okay.
example, if my client name is USD, then I'll be running the same script in the same project on the USD URL. So
Got
yes, this is how we have
it.
accommodate every client in under one project.
Right, right. During your introduction, you were mentioning about the test case coverage. In Selenium, you were telling something about 60 to
Yes.
70%. So how do you calculate this coverage? Do you use any tool?
Rakesh, I was saying that in my current project, we have two of the automation tools. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, Telic Test Studio is covering 70% of the scripts, which is around
Okay,
800.
right.
And in my Selenium side, I'm working on around like 250 of the script, which
Mm.
comes around 30%. So yes, I
Oh,
haven't used any kind of tool, but the separation of test cases on the basis of that I have mentioned the percentage.
fine, fine. Okay, okay. So, Sonia, I'm done with the interview. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, Rakesh. So, Rakesh, like I'll be appearing in few days for like Adobe interview. So, just wanted
Just a
to
second.
know
Yeah,
from
just a
your
second,
side, like,
Sonia. Just a second.
sure, sure.